The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
Elias Pettersson is about to have a foot up his ass, okay? And that's okay, because Adam Foote is the new head coach of your Canucks, and Tom Willander signs, and Rick Tocchet did go home, okay? So we got to stop calling Quit Tocchet. He's just a family man. A jam-packed episode. Locked on Canucks. Let's do it right now.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
People, we back doing this, and that's giving you this episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Kyle Bhawan, and my co-host Trevor Beggs will be here in a second, but he's bringing home the bacon, taking care of his family, because he is the second best dad in the world. If you missed the episode earlier this week, my girlfriend got jealous of Trevor's daddy abilities, okay? Do the math. He's one of the best at it. Now, will Adam Foote be one of the best at being a head coach in hockey? Who knows? Who knows? For real. And here we have the Canucks picking him over Manny Malhotra. Yes, it's official. Adam Foote, the 22nd head coach in Vancouver Canucks history. This team's been around for 55 years, 56 years. They've had 22 head coaches. That's unreal. If my homie had 22 girlfriends in 55 years, dude, intervention. I'm taking him to the Dalai Lama, okay? He's got to slow down. 22 head coaches, okay? Man, oh man. All in all, believe in Adam Foote, okay? He has his foot in the door. Quinn Hughes, the cosign, the most important part of all this. Again, Quinn Hughes saying Adam Foote's the second best coach he's ever had. And I feel as if that had to do a lot to do with this, okay? This hiring, okay? Making Quinn Hughes happy and, capitalizing on Adam Foote being really good at coaching defense. And I know there were certain breakdowns last year, and things weren't perfect, and you can't say that this decor or this defensive unit is one of the best in the game when we missed the playoffs, okay? St. Louis beat us for a spot, okay? Calgary was a better team than us, and here I am saying, oh yeah, our decor is solid. Our D is solid in Vancouver, okay? Vancouver's got one of the best Ds in North America. You can't get D like this anywhere else, okay? And I believe it, though. I believe it. Results aren't everything. I feel as if this team was healthy, had Demko, again, just overall, less injuries all around this team, that defense would have, in my opinion, not succumbed to the pressure every now and then, because it was tough. It was tough. They had to do most of the work, because this team, no offense, has no offense. Adam Foote, man, with Quinn Hughes, Philip Hronek, DPD, Marcus Pettersson, Tyler Myers, Vincent Valentino, Martini, Mancini. I don't know if they're going to sign Derek Forbort. Hey, Tom Willander part of the mix now. You best believe it. Again, I think this team has to play to its strengths, because we don't know how player acquisition is going to go in June or July. Like, the team has to win now, and keeping Adam Foote around, keeping that language around, probably gives this team the best, in my opinion, and it's a scary opinion, but the best chance to win ASAP and appreciate, you make Quinn Hughes appreciate the things that are going on here, okay? Defense wins championships, okay? Kind of, sort of, maybe not. Maybe we'll find out in June of this year if that's wrong or not, but Adam Foote makes a little bit of sense. And bro, months and months and months ago, Trevor Beggs now joining us, I said it. You said it yesterday. I said it months and months and months and months ago. I said, yo, Adam Foote's probably going to replace Rick Tocchet. And I think I said that because I like the way our defense plays, Trevor. I do.
Yeah, I mean, look, we both called it at different points, right? Adam Foote, again, the new head coach of the Vancouver Canucks. And I think there are some reasons to be excited and some reasons to be scared about this signing. But I think one of the main takeaways here, both with the Adam Foote hiring and the Tom Willander signing, is that Operation Keep Quinn Hughes in Vancouver is in full tilt. And man, oh man, the power that one player has over an organization. And don't get me wrong, Quinn Hughes absolutely deserves it. He absolutely
Mhm.
deserves to have that power over an organization. He's one of not just the best defensemen in the NHL right now, but one of the best defensemen in NHL history. But you go out, you
Uh-huh.
get Adam Foote, who Quinn Hughes is called one of the best coaches he has ever had.
That
You
matters.
sign
That
Tom
matters.
Willander a couple hours later, a guy who could be the long-term partner for Quinn Hughes in Vancouver as well, or at the very least, a guy with, definitely top pair, if not, solid top 4 potential. The
No,
moves
yeah,
today,
100%.
to me, were
100%.
about keeping Quinn Hughes in Vancouver, whether they're right or wrong. It's hard to argue with the Willander signing. We'll see if he actually stays long-term. More on that in a couple of minutes. But certainly the decision to hire Foote and sign Tom Willander today, it is about keeping Quinn Hughes in Vancouver.
Or it's about just having strong D and having a grip of that strong D for a long time. I
Woo.
love gripping the strong. All in all, Trevor, like, we just don't know. We just don't know. And, screw it. I was going to touch on this later, but Canucks fans, calm down, cool down. And I know me and Trevor have been wrong many times. Hey, we're wrong a lot of times this year about Rick Tocchet, okay? For real. For real. We're just emotional people. That being said, have some faith here. Because if you read the comments underneath the post, that Florida tweeted out years and years and years ago when they hired Paul Maurice, right? Paul Maurice, outside of 2005 with Carolina, 2006, like, just mediocre results, like doing good in the regular season at times with Winnipeg, but just mediocre results. Florida hired that guy to save that franchise, to finally win them a cup, and everyone hated it. I would say the internet, 90% of the people were outraged or didn't even get it. Even if you weren't a Florida Panthers fan, you're like, how the old boys club, like, how is Paul Maurice continuing to get recycled all this time later, right? And look what's happened. So you just never know. We got to just wait and see and lean on the D. Hop on the D, buddy. Hop on the D. Tom Willander, Quinn Hughes, Philip Peronic, Marcus Pettersson, DPD, Valentino Martini II, Mancini. Like, something. Did I say Tyler Myers too? Like, there's a possibility for the Canucks to find success. Yeah, if Adam Foote, and again, that language is sticking around, that cohesiveness is sticking around. It's not a complete overhaul of the system and the culture. Like, there could be some success here, Trevor.
Yeah, exactly. And look, I've gone on the record saying it, and I'll say it again. I really do think the Canucks should have hired Manny Malhotra over Adam Foote.
Go in, Trevor. Honestly, sorry to cut you off, but I do want you to talk about this because you did text me this like 2 hours ago too. Like, you actually haven't said anything nice about Adam Foote via the group chat. Like, you haven't said nothing. You just said, "Oh, he's the new head coach." Leave it at that. I think they should have hired Manny, but like, go lay into it. It's not about you being negative, but this is this. I didn't know this was gonna be like a big time decision like this, picking one or the other, for real. I didn't expect this, but I feel like you think there's some like big weight to this. Like, this was a big risk the Canucks did with choosing Foote.
Yeah, 100%. And, I'll kind of echo thoughts. Every day, as I've heard this before, Adam Foote, again, excelling on the defensive side of the puck, excelling on the PK. As a head coach, though, for me, one of the big traits of a head coach is, being able to articulate yourself. And, when you listen to Manny Malhotra talk, when you listen to Adam Foote talk, one guy is very good at articulating himself to the media, and that guy is Manny Malhotra. Now, how different is it behind closed doors? Probably not as different as you think, because that's just who the guy is, more or less. And Manny Malhotra, again, I think he's a good communicator. I think he gets his message across well. When I've heard Adam Foote in other interviews, whether it's scrums, whether it's one-on-one interviews, I just don't think he can articulate himself as well as Manny Malhotra can. And being a guy who was a defense-first guy in the NHL for
Okay, Trevor's lagging a ton. Talking about articulation. Maybe he can bounce in and out. Talking about articulation, sounding like a damn robot. You know why it's like that? Because, who cares how this guy, like, just don't be Jim Benning or Willie Darnay with your articulation skills. But I'm not gonna guarantee that Manny Malhotra is going to be a better coach in the NHL than Adam Foote just because he's better at, talking in front of a microphone. Okay. I just want this team to win games. Articulation to me, not the most important thing. I think, but on that note, though, I do want you to expand this debate just a bit more. I feel like outside of just being him being calm, poised, and all that jazz, like, I even heard Elliot Friedman talk about how around the league, people think like Manny Malhotra is like one of the next bright minds in the game. Like, and I guess that does connect with articulation. I'm sorry, but just like his X's and O's, the way he coaches, like versus Adam Foote, who I think people already have written his playbook. Like people have already read his head coaching playbook, which is ironic because he had one year as a junior head coach. But it's like people are scared of this decision, Trevor, more so than ever, and I think it has to do with play style.
Yeah, and look, to be honest, I don't think whether you had Manny Malhotra or Adam Foote in charge, much would have changed. Now, it's less likely to change with Adam Foote, who was a big part of implementing the system that the Canucks had under Rick Tocchet. Manny Malhotra has said in previous interviews that with the Abbotsford Canucks, he was told to implement 80% of the same structure that the Vancouver Canucks had, but he could add 20% of his own flair. And you watch the Abbotsford Canucks play, and they're not that dissimilar from the Vancouver Canucks in terms of playing style. So, of course, with Manny Malhotra, I think there was more of an aura of not knowing exactly what kind of playing style is going to be. But again, you got a very defensive-minded guy in Malhotra, a defensive-minded guy in Foote. It probably would have been the same. But to your point, Kyle, I do think that Manny Malhotra is a more forward-looking coach than Adam Foote. And Adam Foote, again, we talked about this one WHL season where didn't really work out the Kelowna Rockets. Not only that, he was fired. He was fired from the Kelowna Rockets in February of 2020 on a team where both his sons were playing on the team. And I mean, look, it was definitely a situation where, the Kelowna Rockets, if you want to get into that, apparently their GM's a bit of a nut job himself. But I don't know. It doesn't scream confidence moving forward. And again, going back to the number one reason why the Canucks made this decision, Operation Keep Quinn Hughes. Quinn Hughes loves Adam Foote. And I think that's what it came down to at the end of the day, right? Is the relationship.
Okay, Trevor, you sound like a damn robot again, bro. Just hurting my damn ears. One of the most important days in Canucks history. We can't have you talking like you're an AI robot right now. We can't. Adam Foote, 22nd head coach, choosing him over Manny Malhotra, trying to make Quinn Hughes happy, signing Tom Willander. This is a big day. Hopefully Trevor Beggs fixes his Wi-Fi issues ASAP and doesn't sound like a robot. Let's read some comments, kill some time, and I get to a commercial break. Okay, Greener's coming in with this. Okay, with all the young defensemen we have now and the structure he helped create defensively. That is Adam Foote again. He's been the defensive mastermind that tag teamed with Rick Tocchet while a part of the Canucks coaching staff over the last couple of years. Foote is not a bad choice for this group. Okay, even if he wasn't the people's first choice. Again, look at last year. Yes, there were some breakdowns, especially when things mattered the most at points in the Stanley Cup playoffs, especially in round 2. Again, look at game 6, game 7 against the Oilers. Adam Foote coaching the defense, and our defense did not look good at points in those 6 periods. That all being said, again, the offense has been so dry for so long. It's impossible. It's 2025. You can't just 100% of the time be the New Jersey Devils of the early 2000s and win a Stanley Cup. Like, you need your offense to break through. And again, like, I guess it connects to this. Like, without Elias Pettersson stepping up, this team's not going anywhere. And I don't know if that's necessarily still an Adam Foote thing. So I know a lot of people are scared of Adam Foote coaching offense and this and that and blah, 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 not being able to do it and being so defensive. And here we go. We're going to dump and chase again. Guys, if Pettersson returns to form, and this is on his own, whether he has a foot up his ass or not, like on his own, if he wakes up, is accountable, is back to where he should be, the trickle-down effect of the offense will be put out, and that's beyond coaching. That's instinctual stuff. Again, Trevor, come on. You can attest to this. Yeah, the system is important. Yeah, the X's and O's and the practices and all that shit is important. It really is. But when the puck drops and the whistle blows, I guarantee these guys forget about at least 35% of the stuff they learned in practice. Like, they're just going with their instincts. Like this, because exactly. And if one of the best players, he should be one of the best players in hockey, Elias Pettersson, when all is all said and done, 11.6 over 8 years, he's got to live up to that. And if he lives up to that, he's going to make Adam Foote look like a good offensive coach for real.
Yeah, I mean, Elias Pettersson is the number one key to the Vancouver Canucks and the success that they may have moving forward here. But again, keep letting us know in the comments. Are you happy with the hiring of Adam Foote? Because I think this is a day where the Canucks fan base is very divided. So let's get more into the Adam Foote hiring. Maybe some of the more of the personal side with Adam Foote as well. And let's get into the Tom Willander signing on the other side as well. Listen to Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every day. We'll be back on the other side, baby, after talking about them nuts. Man, oh man, coming from a couple of nutty hosts, but you know that when Kyle and I look for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious, we're getting those pistachios from Wonderful Pistachios, baby. Did you know that Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts? Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats. Boom, bam. That keeps you feeling fuller for longer. And you know me, baby. I love that no shells variety. No teas, just popping those naked salty nuts right in my mouth. Ah, yeah. But if you like the teas like Kyle Bowen, the in-shell options are also a classic favorite. So whatever nut you're snacking on, make sure you get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more.
Boom, bam. Shout out to Wonderful Nuts, Pistachios, Wonderful Pistachio. Okay, we back doing this, and that's talking about your Canucks. If you're watching this live or in post-live form, hit the like button, save a life, a.k.a. make Trevor a better dad, make me a better boyfriend. My 4-year anniversary is coming up. I don't want to split the bill. I don't want to have that conversation. The recession is here for all of us, woman and male, okay, you know what I'm saying? So if I have to get into argument because I can't afford the bill fully, it's your fault because you didn't hit the like button, okay? Speaking of you, let's get to some comments. And we have to get into this. So LaPrimo, one of the best commenters on the show as well, because he speaks his mind and he speaks some truth, okay? Why do people say the Canucks were good defensively last year with Adam Foote? Okay? We were good on the PK, but the number of odd man rushes and defensive breakdowns was disgusting to watch. And bro, to be honest, he has a point, right? Look at Columbus. Look at that game. That was ass. Look at the breakdown against Seattle when we were up 3-0. Hey, look at the breakdown when we were up 3-0 against Calgary in the first game of the season. Like, yeah, there were points this season where the defense didn't look great. I must add this, though. Quinn Hughes was hurt for a long time. Filip Hronek was hurt for 2 months. And I just feel as if for any team, again, you can't do it like the New Jersey Devils and just lean on the defense. If your offense is no-showing time in and time out in this league in 2025 when there's so much skill, like the defense, no offense, but it's going to break down every once in a while. Like, that's why a big key to this is Pettersson and the swag of the offense moving forward. And yeah, Trevor, and I think this is why, like, there's hiring Foote was such a polarizing thing, is because, like, oh, yeah, our defense is great, and like Adam Foote's going to help that. And people are like, yo, come on. If we had one of the best defensive teams in hockey, like, how did Calgary do better than us this season?
Yeah, and Kyle, we talked about this throughout the season. The Canucks, in terms of their underlying numbers, were one of the best defensive teams in the NHL. But as LaPrimo was saying in the comments, a Primo comment, how often did the Canucks defensive structure fall apart when they had the lead? Like, they had a lot of blown leads this season. And Kyle, I think it goes back to the point you were making about, you know, you got to teach the X's and O's and have your structure down. But often when you get on the ice, that stuff does go out the window, and you do rely on instincts to an extent. And you know, I think the margins are so thin. Obviously, all the locker room drama. You had some players like, you know, the Carson Soucy and Tyler Myers not living up to what they were in previous seasons as well. Look, I think, you know, to LaPrimo's point, it's another reason to be skeptical about the hiring of Adam Foote. Again, unlike some people, I'm not going to come out and absolutely roast the guy because I think he has done a good job. And it's hard to deny that, right? Like, the Canucks did choke in some moments, but I think that is more based on personnel. It's a little bit on coaching, not to not make those adjustments in game, but a lot of it is personnel based as well. The players in that room not living up to the system.
It is, man. It's also like Demko being hurt all the time and Lankinen being fatigued, and I'm not trying to make excuses too, but there were so many like dark spots on this team that just like led to trickle down effects across the board. All in all, though, I think if like it's such a daunting task. And if Pettersson wakes up and they bring one or two more players, but ultimately, like, because the language is going to be similar to Tocchet, considering that, Foote was Tocchet's right-hand man, the ability for, like, Quinn Hughes in that D-core to just get it and get it down quickly and just kind of, like, lean on what they're good at is going to help this team get off to a better start, like, next season immediately. And just the culture and, like, imagine Quinn Hughes having someone else other than Adam Foote walk through the door and be the head coach. I mean, that's like a generational player having 17 new head coaches in, like, 3 years. Like, Adam Foote still feels like Rick Tocchet to me. You know what I'm saying? And it's not to say that Rick Tocchet's the best coach in the world, because obviously, like, he struggled this year and he struggled in his past as a head coach outside of last year. But I think the cohesiveness was important, bro. And to be honest, Trevor, I know this sounds so crazy because a lot of people are pointing the finger at me like, yo, this is stupid. This organization's a joke. Like, they were broken last year and they just did the same thing. They hired Adam Foote, the Walmart version of Rick Tocchet. Some people are saying that, but I'm looking at it the other way just to be positive a bit. It's like, maybe they trust the guy, and maybe they trust the fact that, bro, this team was injured more than any team last year. That's a big thing. I know it was chaotic, and Pettersson and Miller, the drama, it was bullshit. Rutherford, Alvin talking like they're on Jerry Springer every couple of weeks and making all this unnecessary drama about the team. But the fact is, it's hard to win hockey games when you're best players. It wasn't like Danton Heinen was out for 3 months. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like Teddy Bluger was out for 3 months. This team had major injuries every step of the way this season. So I think there's some faith in the language in that room. Like, they can get the job done. They can figure this out.
Yeah, I mean, I like the glass half full take. I think there's also the risk that they're doubling down on a coaching staff and a team that missed the playoffs last season. I know what you're saying. The Canucks missed a lot of time, but when the players were healthy in the lineup, it's like your top dog and Elias Pettersson wasn't going. You had an offensive group that was second last in the league in terms of shots on goals, on expected goals. So, and then you bring in a coach who has been a defensive defenseman his whole career and is now the head coach. And yeah, I wonder how much he can coach this team into being a better offensive team. I honestly think, and we'll touch on this over here, but the assistant coach of the Vancouver Canucks, it might be one of the most important assistant coaches in the NHL, because primarily to keep Quinn Hughes happy, to keep the vibes of the team good. A lot of talk about Foote behind the scenes. Like, he's not a yeller, he's not a screamer, he's not really I don't even think he's as hard as Rick Tocchet, right? I do really think he's a player's coach first and foremost. Dude,
Rick Tocchet was soft, bro. Let's be honest, man. Rick Tocchet was soft. He was soft as a head coach with the Vancouver Canucks. Was like, oh, I just want the room to pick it up. I want the room to figure all this stuff out. I want dude. Rick Tocchet was soft as a head coach, and I know going to Philly, he's gonna make that a note. Like, especially with the young team in Philadelphia, he just officially got hired a minute ago. Like, I just saw it was rumored all morning, but Philadelphia just tweeted it out too. I wonder if he's the most expensive head coach in sports history. I don't know. Where am I going with this? Rick Tocchet was soft as a head coach for the Canucks, and I hope that Adam Foote, like, especially with a guy like Pettersson, like, people are like, oh, the tough love's not going to work on him and blah, blah, blah. And to me, it's like, maybe the tough love through the media is not going to work with him. Like, maybe there's a way to get to him in the room that's not what Tocchet was doing this whole time. Okay, all in all, though, got to say it for the second time because it makes all the sense in the world, Trevor. And maybe you can back me up here. Because, again, a lot of people are hating this. Like, look at Zesty, man. I hate the Foote hiring. I get it. But me not being a Florida Panthers fan, I hated Paul Maurice coming back to the NHL to coach the Florida Panthers. And it's like, yo, what's going on? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm not even a Florida Panthers fan. And now Paul Maurice is the best coach in hockey.
Yeah, well, I will back you up to an extent on that. I do want to make the point, though, that I do think Foote is softer than Tocchet. Okay. Everything you read about him being, even when he was at the Kelowna Rockets, is, he was pretty soft in his players. Obviously, his sons played there. That played into it. But even listen to him in interviews. Like, he's not a guy who is really going to come and be a drill sergeant on your hockey team. I think he's softer than Rick Tocchet. I think he's a player's guy first and foremost. I think that's why players like him. But to your point, Kyle, even though, look, I'm not in love with the Foote hiring either. I'm not going to lie. But most people weren't in love with the Rick Tocchet hiring. And of course, you got some people being like, oh, I said from day one I didn't like Rick Tocchet. But I think most of the fan base came around and started to appreciate the job that Rick Tocchet did in Vancouver. He did do a damn good job last year. And I stand by it. I think he did a good job this year, too, for the most part. Even though it wasn't perfect, for the most part, I thought he did a pretty good job this year considering everything that went on. So, look, sometimes, you got to have takes at the time. Everyone's going to have takes at the time on whether they like a hiring or not. But the reality is that, like a Paul Maurice situation, like a Rick Tocchet situation, sometimes you just don't know if it's a good hire or not until you see the coach play and coach for a handful of games here. But Kyle, we spent a lot of time talking about Adam Foote here. Of course, the decision, Adam Foote, new head coach of the Vancouver Canucks. Rick Tocchet, I don't think we mentioned, now the head coach of the Philadelphia Flyers. Let's get to some news notes. And the big one, Tom Willander comes to Vancouver. But is it for the long term? That's coming up next here on Locked On Canucks.
People, we back doing this, and that's talking about your Canucks. My name's Kyle Bhawan. That right there is the second best dad in the world, Trevor Beggs. Hey, we started a Substack, which means we got to start writing ASAP, okay? Every Monday and Friday, we'll give you, I don't know, just our text messages and give you a peek behind the scenes, okay? Link in the bio. Join the Substack, Beggsy and Bhawan. We got 8 of you subscribed, and we're trying to save the world by allowing people to read more than captions, okay? For real. All in all, though, Tom Willander, he won't be reading any more textbooks. He won't be trying to be the best student at Boston University or whatever it is, because he finally is reminding himself that he's not Eli Manning, Eric Lindros, or whatever. Like, he's Tom Willander, the 11th overall pick from the 2023 entry draft, and he just signed a 3-year entry-level deal with the Canucks. And Rick Tocchet saying that he's probably not going to play for Abbotsford in their playoff run moving forward. So, like, this all starts next season. And I think it is kind of ironic, and people are looking at this announcement as a way to, control the PR outrage. Because again, people are mad at the whole Adam Foote thing. But yeah, we get Tom Willander signed. He's brought through the door, and instead of getting mad at it, and I'll get mad at it in the future. Okay, but right now I'm just trying to be a little positive. It's ironic because Tom Willander could be the second best Canucks defenseman in history. Okay, I know he was acting like a brat, and I was being a bully because I wasn't just impressed with the way he was acting personally, but the guy's athletic. The guy's got a skill set, and now he's got Adam Foote, a Hall of Fame defenseman, as a head coach. It's worked with Quinn Hughes. Maybe we get the best out of him, and that makes our team ultimately better next season.
Yeah, and I think this long, weird, drawn talk finally comes to an end. Like I said, Tom Willander has a 3-year deal with the Vancouver Canucks. It certainly sounds like he will not stay for the Abbotsford Canucks like you would do in the Colorado report. But also from
okay, Trevor, you just keep sounding. Can anyone let me know in the comments if Trevor sound like a robot too? Because sometimes I just have been having trouble hearing him the whole time. Can you let me know, because I can't understand him? And again, Tom Willander just signed the second best defenseman in Canucks history. This is the most important episode of Locked On Canucks history. If he's not sounding like a robot and it's just a me and him thing, please let me know in the comments, okay? At times. Okay, Trevor's a bit sounding like a robot. All in all, Tom Willander signs. He's athletic, right-handed defenseman, may play with Quinn Hughes. Philip Rona goes down the lineup. Come on. He could be solid. Like, this could be, again, I know people don't want to dump and chase them. They know we need more offense, and they're scared of Rick Tocchet 2.0 again and all this. Because again, Trevor, we sucked this year at offense, but we also sucked in the second half of last season with our offense too. We were winning a playoff series with the least amount of shots in NHL history, it seemed like. But there could like this could be a powerful defense core, and adding Tom Willander to the mix, and if he gets it right away somehow, some way, we've seen it with young players across the league, and he's paired up with Quinn Hughes, like, we could be deep down there, man. Deep in the D, bro.
Deep in the D, man. Oh man, getting sexual here on Locked On Canucks, man. Unbelievable. I think the point I was going to make, Alvin in the report mentions Tom Willander looking forward to him coming to camp. So I think it's a definite no about him being with the Abbotsford Canucks. Kyle, I did want to ask you this though. Do you think Tom Willander is going to be a Canuck for the long term here?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I do.
The signing changes it for you, eh?
I mean,
I think it might make him more
tradable. Let me take that back. I was about to say, because now, again, this is what happens when you hang out with Trevor. Everything's like not dark, but there's always like a little scheme here, right? Like, this guy's thinks the Canucks are like a HBO special, and there's nothing seems like it is, and there's always going to be something else, right? But
I'm just saying, man.
I see what you're doing here.
He signs the contract now. I think it might make him more tradable. That's all I'm saying. And the Canucks, they grinded him down on those bonuses. That was the gap, right? His Schedule A bonuses coming at $800,000. The Canucks wanted him at $500,000. Other top prospects signing for $1 million. They get him down to $800,000. Teams, they save a bit of money. Boom, bam. He doesn't sign early. They don't burn the entry level contract last season. I'm not sure if it changes it a lot, but I still think Tom Willander is certainly still a potential trade chip for your Vancouver Canucks here.
No, you're right, because I keep forgetting, man. Like, it's Tom Willander in the 15th overall pick, and you might be able to get Matt Barzal. Right? I know the Islanders are about to draft a defenseman with the first overall pick, and they already got Noah Dobson and whatever, but, like, the more D, the better. Like, straight up, I could see something like that happening, and, as you alluded to, the fact that he's already signed to the deal, which leads to, less complications of any NHL team bringing him into the system and the training camp and whatnot. It does improve his value. But let me ask you this: like, what do you want the Canucks to do with Tom Willander? Because now we don't have to be bullies and be annoyed of him, and like we can just look at him as a hockey player. And I know we have Philip Hronek and DPD and Valentino Martini, the second Mancini, but it's like Tom Willander. Like the way I'll say this: in a couple of years, I feel like he could be just as good, if not better, than Philip Hronek. So don't you want to keep a guy like that?
Well, I think that's the tough decision to make for the Vancouver Canucks is, look, you got two guys in Willander and Hronek who project as first pairing right shot defensemen. I'm going to go on a limb and say that's where Willander's at right now. You don't know if he's there yet, though, right? You trade Hronek, and I think we'll get into this maybe later this week or next week, Kyle, depending on how the news shakes down. But do you necessarily need both guys on this team? I think it's a luxury. It's not really a necessity, especially when you have as many holes up front as you do on this team. So I think ideally you keep both guys, but man, oh man, I also think you can go into next season with the offense being the way it is, right? And, Connor Garland, he was on Donnie and Dolly yesterday, and he mentioned that he's hoping the team makes a few additions this offseason, right? I think they got to do something on offense, and it's not going to be cheap. And I think you got to seriously consider trading one of these guys. And again, it's the way the Canucks are acting right now. You hire Adam Foote. That's Operation Keep Quinn Hughes Happy. I think Operation, sign Tom Willander is Operation Keep Quinn Hughes Happy. But what would keep Quinn Hughes happier? Keeping Philip Hronek around or keeping Tom Willander around? It's probably keeping Philip Hronek around. Yeah. So that makes me think that Tom Willander as a trade trip is certainly still on the table, especially with Shadow GM Quinn Hughes running the show here.
Yeah, no, you're right. They're best friends, right? Quinn Hughes and Philip Hronek. No, okay, he loves don't fix what's not broken, and they're good together, man. They're good together, man. I feel as if they're close to Cale Makar and Devon Taves. Like they're getting there, and imagine. But then look at this comment though, like from Greener though. He's saying until we're sure about Quinn's future, it might be best to hold on to Tom Willander. And I'll say this about Tom Willander too. Yes, he acted like a brat off the ice during this signing thingy or whatever. And I didn't like him going public and saying we're far apart, blah blah blah. Like I like the 11th overall picks on this organization being a little more quiet. Okay, for real. All in all though, he does seem poised. Like he seems like a leader. He seems like this is the guy who takes the game super duper seriously. Okay, he has a little bit of Quinn Hughes in him when it comes to that. Like he's super serious, and these are the guys you want to keep in an organization. No matter come on, and like you kept Adam Foote to make Quinn Hughes happy. So it's like, if they got to trade Philip Hronek to shed some cap and bring somebody else through the door, like I don't know. It is what it is, Quinn, because winning is the most important thing.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kyle. And look, I think it's a big risk to trade Tom Willander. I think it's a big risk to trade Philip Hronek, and they both have different degrees of risk, right? But I will say that trading a guy like Tom Willander, I mean, again, I keep going back to the Brock Faber trade, and the Kings make that trade. Kevin Fallon's been a good player. What does it result in? It results in four first-round exits. Trading a guy like Tom Willander to boost your top six now is a short-term, make the playoffs kind of move. It is not a long-term building a Stanley Cup contender kind of move. So I think that's where the Canucks are at. But I'm telling you, just the way they hire Adam Foote, and again, it just seems like they're trying to do short-term decisions to keep Quinn Hughes around and make the playoffs. I'm not sure if they're really making moves right now to build a Stanley Cup contender.
Man, oh man. Okay, you know what? Can we just talk about Rick Tocchet now, Trevor, before we get out of here? I know we're going over to. I know this is way over, but are you down to are you down to talk for like 5 to 7 more minutes? Okay, let's do this. Get your comments ready. Trevor, if you can also queue up some comments too, because we barely read comments today, and it's a big day. Like 22nd head coach in Vancouver Canucks history. Like this is a big episode. I don't know if it feels like a big day in the history of the Canucks for you, but the more and more I think about this, it kind of feels like it. And what are the chances that all this happens when Rick Tocchet officially signs with the Philadelphia Flyers? And I want to get into like him possibly checking out in like March of this year, considering that job was available, right? Like John Tortorella gets fired and he's probably like, yo, I'm a Flyer. And think about this. This is exactly what he said in the press release. I've always been a Flyer at heart. And I've taken that passion and energy that embodies the city and organization with me throughout my career. Okay? So you always been a Flyer, huh? Even when you were coaching the Canucks. Okay. And now, Trevor, you know when those like reports came out right when Tortorella got fired that, they're going to be eyeing Rick Tocchet, and the Canucks were mad at that, like all the media talking about it? I think they knew. I think they know because Rutherford and Alvin are friends with the Rick Tocchet, and maybe there was like a dinner 7 or 8 years ago that they had where Rick Tocchet's like, my dream is to coach the Philadelphia Flyers. Yeah. And it happened.
And again, we talked about it earlier this week. The Everydayers, shout out to the Everydayers here on Locked On Canucks. Manny Malhotra was a guy that bled the blue and green. Adam Foote, a career Colorado Avalanche with no ties to this city.
That means a lot to you. I've been hearing that a lot out of you. Elaborate, man.
Honestly, man.
Elaborate. Because I mostly think you're just saying shit because like you're just like your mind works in mysterious ways, and sometimes you just like to start drama. Because I know every night with your wife you're watching the Rich Lives of Beverly Hills Wives or whatever it's saying, and you like the noise, but like you really wanted.
I was watching White Lotus. There's a lot of drama in that.
Oh yeah, there
too,
you go.
But, yeah, look, it's not a foregone conclusion, but yeah, I got some scar tissue, man. Look at what just happened to the Vancouver Canucks, and I keep going back to one of the best coaches and managers this city has ever seen in its mediocre 55-year history, and it's Pat Quinn, a guy who was an OG Vancouver Canuck who came to this team and pulled this team out of the goddamn gutter. He's got a statue outside of Rogers Arena, and I mean, look, I do think there's something else when you come to an organization where you had ties previously. And look, a guy like Rick Tocchet, he obviously had some success here. He won the Jack Adams, but when shit got hard, he had one foot out the door. Is Adam Foote going to be the same way? Maybe, maybe not. But I would sure as hell bet that a guy like Manny Malhotra would be here through thick and thin.
Damn. But I guess that stuff matters because now we've seen the proof again. The Philadelphia Flyers have always been in my heart. Rick Tocchet, 3 points out of a playoff spot in late March. Already knowing, I can make the same amount of money in Philadelphia. Crazy. Now, I don't want to also just like shit on Tocchet like that because I think we owe him an apology, right? Because last week it's rumored that he's going to be like the third head coach in Seattle Kraken history. Seattle, man, you guys are almost catching up to us. We got 22 and 55. Like you guys are going to have 3 and like 4 or whatever. And anyways, when all those rumors came out that it was Anaheim or Seattle, we're like, this guy quit on us to like still stay in the West. But here he is making it official and going to the East and being closer to home. And I mean, again, being a little sentimental, when you get to this age, I'm about to turn 32. I did the math that Rick Tocchet was a professional athlete his whole life. Had some strong roots in Philadelphia because the majority of his like best times in hockey outside of winning championships was there. And he probably established roots, maybe whether it be like friends, maybe like he met core family members there, blah, 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 and all that stuff. And even post Philadelphia, he moved around. Then he was a head coach in Tampa and Arizona, boom, bam. And what I'm trying to get to is like, He's been in the NHL for like 40 plus years. And if he says he wants to go home or he wants to be closer to family, and now we confirm that and we don't have to be dramatic about it, all the power to him. So best of luck in Philadelphia, because I love my family. I love my dog Loki. I love my girl. I love my dad and mom, all this stuff. You know, it's real stuff. And when you have championships already in your back pocket and you've accomplished everything that Rick Tocchet has, like, all the power to him to make, like, I know it sucks because I feel as if he stabbed us in the back, considering what he started, especially last year, and what he said post last year. It felt like, you know, he was going to be, as Trevor alluded to, somebody who bled for the Canucks and would do whatever, as opposed to somebody who already was looking at Philadelphia in March. That's the truth. He was. That's life, baby. We all been there. And ultimately, he makes that decision, and it pissed me off. But again, all the power to him. Best of luck, and one love to you and your family. And don't punch me if you see me in person, because we were bullying him last week. Okay, quit talking, dick talking. Okay, come on.
Man, oh man, you know what? That was so poetic, Kyle. So eloquent of you. No, I'm glad that Tocchet's around family, but I still hope the Flyers absolutely suck next season. I hope Tocchet and the Flyers finish last in the NHL.
Why? Talk about it. Like, what? I like the passion, buddy. Talk about it.
I think it's karma, buddy. I think it's karma. You talk about embrace the hard and meet pressure with pressure, then all of a sudden shit gets hard and you leave to go to the team that you're wearing the pajamas for every night. I mean, yeah, I'm not really wishing Rick Tocchet the best in terms of his coaching in Philadelphia. On the family side, yeah, of course, man. You know, family is everything in life. One love to you on that side. In terms of him coaching the Philadelphia Flyers, you know, again, he leaves the Canucks team with Quinn Hughes, with, you know, some star power that needs some serious help in Elias Pettersson, and he bails on those guys to go join one of the most mediocre, if honestly just downright bad teams on paper in the NHL. Yeah, I mean, I hope that, you know, he continues to toil in mediocrity for the rest of his coaching career.
Yeah, you're a dark guy. Okay, now last comment. And yeah, let's just go back to La Prima, okay? La Prima, I think you have a future in podcasting, okay? Look what he's saying right here. I agree with Trevor. It's rare for anyone to have loyalty to the Canucks. Tired of all these coaches and players using us as a stepping stone to get to where they want. And Trevor, man, you're scaring me, man. Yo, this is crazy. This is I never considered, like, I never put two and two together, but when you said the Pat Quinn thing, and then you talked about, like, yeah, he was an original Canuck and all the success that they had, and yeah, just making me think, like, I hope, you know, Adam Foote isn't looking at this as an opportunity to, like, lead a team with Quinn Hughes and kind of set himself up for, like, coaching for the next 10 to 20 years, as opposed to, just like, I'm taking this job because I'm a Canuck. I'm a Canuck for life. I'm not looking towards my future. Like, I'm just focused. I'm focused. Because, yeah, like, Rick Tocchet's Garby, man, because maybe the Canucks get, like, 4 more points or 6 more points this year if their coach is, like, totally locked in and not looking at Philadelphia in June, you know, or next September.
And I want to make one thing clear here. I'm not saying the Canucks got to go and hire someone necessarily who's an ex-Canuck. Like, you have to be an ex-Canuck to be a coach. But when the decision comes down to a guy like Adam Foote, who has had a mediocre head coaching record, who isn't as good of a communicator as a guy like Manny Malhotra, like, when that's your competition, Malhotra versus Foote, and you go and choose Foote over Malhotra, it's like, I think you just got to go with the guy who's bled blue and green for this franchise, who seems like the better communicator, who seems more forward-thinking than Adam Foote. So again, I don't think you have to be a Canuck necessarily, but it doesn't hurt. I mean, Mark Crawford and Pat Quinn are 2 guys who are ex-Canucks, who are 2 of the best coaches in franchise history. So not necessarily a prerequisite, but when it comes down to Malhotra versus Foote, you know, I hope it works out with that for Adam Foote. Let me say that, you know, go Canucks, go bleed the blue and green. Let's go, baby. Let's go win the Stanley Cup next year or the year after with Adam Foote. But, you know, if I'm thinking rationally here, I think Manny Malhotra was the better choice, and that's probably where the Canucks should have gone in this situation.
Okay. Well, I lied to you. Okay. One more comment. This one goes to Hangia, however you say it. Let me know how we pronounce your name so we don't butcher it all the time, because you're loyal. We're family out here, okay? Hangia is saying Tocchet made Quinn Hughes the captain and a better player, and y'all are going to shit on him. Mother Knucker saying Hangia, Rick Tocchet did not make Quinn Hughes the captain, okay? I want to touch on this because again, like we're feeling emotional today. It's an emotional day in Canucks history, and Quinn Hughes loved Rick Tocchet, and Quinn Hughes made it clear that Rick Tocchet made him a better player. I mean, I'm kind of convinced that Quinn Hughes would have gotten there by himself because I just think that guy's super serious and just better than Rick Tocchet for real. Like he's gonna go down as top 10 defenseman of all time, Scott Niedermayer territory. Super serious, and he's destined for greatness, and he's in and around his brothers too. So like he was going to get there inevitably. But touching on Rick Tocchet and making him the captain, and Mother Knucker saying, "Oh no, Rick Tocchet didn't do that." I think he did. Because Alvin and Rutherford aren't in that dressing room, and now we've already seen Alvin and Rutherford be a little emotional and at times like a little bit irrational. There was consensus that Elias Pettersson was going to be the next captain, or JT Miller was going to be the next captain. But who was in that room, and who never? I'm talking not once, and rightfully so. Who didn't get any smack talked about them, or didn't have like Rick Tocchet didn't even say things like, "Oh, Quinn Hughes got to mature. I can't wait for him to like grow into this role," or blah blah. Nah, Rick Tocchet knew the moment he walked in that room, like probably a week in, that Quinn Hughes was that guy, because you need a stoic. You need like a guy who could be calm, cool, and collective. And at that time, there was Pettersson, Miller, and Hughes. You named any of those guys captain. They picked the right one. And honestly, I want to give a lot of credit to Rick Tocchet for that.
Yeah, there we go, man. Giving Rick Tocchet some credit. I guess that's why I cut out. My Wi-Fi couldn't handle the Rick Tocchet love here on Locked On Canucks. Rick Tocchet, who? That's all right. A big day for the Vancouver Canucks. It'd be nice if they spread out the news, but I think we've got some material here for the next couple of days, Kyle, including Tom Willander. Does that mean his time here in Vancouver is officially going to be long-term? I also want to touch on, I think a big topic, we alluded to it in this episode, is who is going to be the next assistant coach for the Vancouver Canucks. And It might be one of the most, the biggest assistant coach hirings out there. So I think Adam Foote's going to need some strong backup as he endeavors in his first head coaching stint in the NHL. All that and more coming up. But again, we appreciate you for tuning in. If you like what we're doing, go subscribe and like on YouTube. On the podcast side, go follow us and leave a 5-star review. Go follow the Substack. Kyle and I writing, beefing back and forth with each other. Also join the Discord and chat with the best Canuck fans in the world on the toilet. That's all for now. We got to get out of here. I'm Trevor Beggs. That guy's Kyle Bhawan, and you've been listening to Locked On Canucks.
Peace.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.